Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So we were discussing الذين يتبعون رسول النبي الأمي الذين يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل. So I mentioned the last time we met here, I told you the book called Izharul Haq by Sheikh Rahmatullah Kiranwi of India. He's collated from the present day books. All the descriptions of Nabi Sallallahu is found in the previous books. He has given specific examples of such descriptions found in the current version of the Bible, despite the fact that they've been robbed of originality through innumerable changes and distortions by the Judeo-Christian theologians. The Urdu version of this remarkable work has been published in Pakistan. I told you. So this is how Haq is now been translated. Urdu is called Bible se lekar Quran tak. So by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, I have the honor of rendering this work in English. 3 volumes of the English version have been published in London. So this book now, Alhamdulillah, it originally was Izharul Haq, which was in Arabic, and it's been translated in Urdu, which is Bible, Select Quran, and now this book has been translated into English. I'm not sure the English name. In fact, if I find it, I'll buy it. So I told you, they say Sheikh Didat he became good in comparative vision because of this book. He read it. So we must get it, inshallah. So some additional attributes of the Holy Prophet also been included in the scriptures found in Torah and Injil. Right amongst them is the attribute of bidding good to people and preventing from evil. So if ever you're going to give a Jamaat bayan, you give Kash bayan, or you want to give, you're going to whatever, or you speak about general Amr bil Ma'ruf, here's another interesting point. Even in the Torah, it has been mentioned that one of the features of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is that he is amir bil ma'ruf wa nahi al munkar. So that is the sifat of this ummah. Our ummah, one of the, you say the khasa'is, that when you see something wrong, then you diplomatically ta'ud ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati, right? So the Arabic term ma'ruf signifies something recognized, acknowledged, or known, while munkar says something strange, unrecognized. Why? Because the wrong thing is supposed to be strange for this ummah. Man ra'a minkum munkar. This ankara could mean something that you don't know about, not familiar. And as ummatis of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're supposed to be unfamiliar with that, right? This has indicated, right, which are right. This has indicated that the act which was recognized or known to the people of the first century Islam shall be considered as a good deed. Otherwise, we should turn as a munkar or rejected. This in turn makes us understand that any act not approved by the companions. So this shows you that what he's saying is something which the Sahaba Ikram, the first generations, they recognize it as good, it will be good. And I told you that's also the statement of Ibn Masud, Mara al Muslimuna Hassan fa inda Allah Hassan, right? So it's something which the Sahaba Ikram, that's also in Hanafi fiqh, I remember the Shafi fiqh, you got Ta'amul nas. What the early Muslims saw and accepted is also a proof in Sharia, right? Thus, in turn, understand that any act not approved by the companions and their disciples cannot be considered as a good deed with no regard to how positive or agreeable it looks. The authentic, so something, you can't introduce something to Islam, especially if there's no need for it. Especially, yes, there is a need. Like madrasas, there's a need. Maktabs, there's a need. When there's no need for something and it was not in the early centuries, then, right, we say it is bidah. So the authentic traditions have therefore termed the acts not acknowledged or approved of by the companions and disciples as innovated acts. Muhdathatul umur. Or right. The next phrase of the verse, the Holy Prophet has been described as having attribute of inviting people to, so the same verse, we're coming back to the verse now, that we're moving away from the description, that the Prophet invites towards good and he prevents from evil. The verse 7, Surah 7, one said, يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر. He bids them fair and forbids the unfair. This attribute has been a common attribute of all the prophets. So although it is a salient feature of Ummah Muhammadiyah, but it is the work of all the prophets. As it had to be because the very purpose of the being ordained by Allah Ta'ala is to guide people to do good and to prevent them from evil. There must be some reason in describing its attributes as a distinct feature of the Holy Prophet. So interesting point is saying, look here, whilst it was the quality of all the prophets, like because why they've been sent as guides, they've been sent a hadina muhtadin to guide people. But why was Nabi singled out for this? Why was it? The Bedouins who knew nothing except grazing the camels and goats, were spoken to in such a simple and candid term that made them understand effortlessly even complex and speculative ideas. Used to receive delegates from the world, right? Yeah. A little reflection of his effective way of preaching and speaking to people according to their state of mind is enough to show the distinction. You're saying why was this Nabi Sam singled out for this quality? They say, yeah, because look here, the Arabs were very simple people. They were agrarian people, right? And complex things that were beyond their comprehension, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam could explain it in simple words to them. He could simply explain to them what is right. He could, in simple words, explain what is wrong. So that's why it became the outstanding feature of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Are you with me? So the Arab Bedouins who knew nothing except grazing the camels and goats were spoken to in such simple and candid terms that made them understand effortlessly even complex and speculative ideas. We used to receive delegates from the world powers of the time, like how today you get America, you get Russia. Those who had the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, they were greatly impressed by his ingenious approach in making his point easily intelligible to him. So they were impressed at how Nabi Sallallahu could communicate with the Sahaba Ikram complex ideas. He could explain it in simple ways. His God-gifted capability of making impact on others by his speech was miraculously unusual and has been acknowledged even by his enemies. Another attribute described in the Torah was through the Holy Prophet. Allah Ta'ala shall Allah Ta'ala shall make the blind eyes and the dumb ears hear. Sorry, Allah shall make the blind eyes see and the dumb ears hear. So interesting. In the Torah, another description of Rasulullah was this, that he will have the ability to make blind eyes see and deaf ears hear. In other words, he will people that doesn't have great comprehension skills, he'll be able to explain something easily to them, right? This may also have reference with effective method of preaching and making things understand easily. We're gonna do now our Anjuman, we're gonna do about the tips on public speaking here. So remember this here. This was another salient feature of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that was even mentioned in the previous scriptures, that Nabi Sallam had the ability to what's the right word? To simply, yeah, the right, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So this is how it goes. In the previous scriptures, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was explained as having the ability to simplify complex issues and explain it in easy and lay terms for the laity. So we learn from this here. As an alim, I told you, you study Quran, you study Hadith. You must use the complex issues that you learn in Quran and Hadith to be able to, in simple words, to explain it to your congregants, to your flock, make them understand the things, right? The verse and discussion has been described as a second attribute that shall permit these people to. Then the next thing, okay, then the next thing speaks about eating halal, right? The verse and discussion has described the second attribute, that he shall permit his people to eat pure things, وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْكُمُ الْخَبَائِثَ, right? This implies that many, so this shows you, imagine, it's such an important thing in this, it's such a speciality of this ummah, that it is even mentioned in the previous books that this ummah Muhammadiyah, the Prophet will impress upon them the eating of halal. So if you're going to give a bayan on the importance of eating halal, and you're going to give a bayan on, impressing the importance of studying haram, there's a nice point for you to remember that this is from amongst the khasa'is. This is from amongst the salient features of our ummah that was even spoken about in the previous scriptures, that our Nabi will impress upon us that don't eat anything, anywhere, any place, McDonald's, KFC, Monchos, Pedro's, all that stuff, right? Only eat halal. This implies that many things which in fact were pure and good has been forbidden for the Israelites as a punishment shall be permitted by the Holy Prophet for his people. So it's just remember that the Jews were full of tricks. They were full of tricks. So because they asked so many questions, Allah Ta'ala hadith, man shadda shudda. Those who make things difficult, Allah Ta'ala will make it difficult for them. So a lot of things that has become haram upon the Jews, Nabi Sallallahu came to set the record straight, right? For example, the fat of permissible animals was forbidden for the Israelites as a punishment against their sinful deeds. For example, the fat of the fat of the properly slaughtered animal, which was forbidden for them, was made permissible for the Prophet and for the Muslims. If an animal is slaughtered in a halal manner, for us to eat the fat is halal. But for them, for the Jews, it was not permissible, right? The example of impure things. What are the impure things, right? Blood, the example, they carry him liquor that Nabi Sam came to make haram for us. This also includes impermissible means of income like gambling, interest, bribes. Some scholars include immorality and ill manners. وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْكُمُ الْخَبَائِثَ. Some ulama even say it refer to immorality like zina, nakedness, lewdness, all of that. It's also part of this ummah. That our ummah is not a lewd ummah, etc. Right? The next verse of the third attribute of the Rasul وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And the next quality that the previous book speaks about our beloved Prophet is that he relieved them of their burdens and of the shackles that were upon them. The Arabic word isri signifies heavy burden. Enough when you got something so heavy on you, it stops you from moving. That's called israhum, right? That's called isra, to stop moving. And the word aghlal is the plural of ghillun, means like something which imprisons you, something which fetters you. Both the words refer to a punishment and were not in themselves a religious requirement. So this something which the Jews put upon themselves. It wasn't mandated, it was not legislated, but they put upon themselves. So the Nabi Sallallahu will come and relieve us from this. They will not allow somebody to wash it away. So, right, so um, both the words refer to punishment and were not in themselves a religious requirement. So sorry, I explained that part wrong. So these things were not part of like past certain things which were not part of a religious requirement, but the Jews, because of the funny tricks, etc., it was imposed upon them. You understand what I'm saying? It was not originally part of the Sharia, but because of the funny tricks, it came as a punishment to them. So when Nabi Sassam came, he came to make naskh of all of this, to abrogate this. You understood? For example, it's essentially required to cut away a piece of cloth having impurity. So if in the Jewish religion, if some najasat came here, like us, we can wash this away, right? But in the Jewish religion, you're not allowed to wash it away. You have to cut that cloth out. So all this difficulty, so we're not somebody allowed to wash it away. Somebody the spoils of war according to jihad with infidels were not permissible for them. Reportedly, a heavenly fire. I mentioned this before in the previous in jihad. If there's some, spoils of war that are gathered, then our ummah is halal, the hanaim. But in the previous ummah, they to put it there, like even Habil and Qabil, etc. They to put it there, a fire would come from the sky and consume it, and it will be a sign to say it's halal, right? So report the heavenly fire used to come and burn up. They were not allowed hunting on a Saturday. The human organs involved in committing a sin were required to be cut off, subhanAllah. If you committed a sin with your hand must be cut off. There is no legal concession of paying ransom, right? So the artist injunction described above have been regarded to be in the verse of the words وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرًا وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَ عَلَيْهِمْ. So this وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِسْرًا وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَ عَلَيْهِمْ refer to those not part of the Sharia but punishments that was put upon them for the insolence. So the wisdom came to remove this. The Holy Prophet also had referred to this aspect of Islamic Sharia in the Hadith, saying that he is living among them an easy and practical law, which is neither cumbersome nor susceptible to going astray. So that's why Nabi Sam said, Inna Dina Yusrun, our deen, the deen I brought to you, it is easy, it is natural, it is in keeping with your tabiat. You don't have to be celibate. Allah Ta'ala has created in man the desire of a woman. So you to go against that natural desires that is unnatural. So La rahbaniyata in Islam. So Allah is our deen is easy. It is practical. It doesn't have all these self-imposed punishments or divine imposed punishments of the previous religions, right? Subsequent to the description of some attributes of the Prophet, the verse said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ. So we have several descriptions of Nabi Sallallahu. Then the verse says, فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِهِ وَعَزَّرُوهُ وَنَصَرُوهُ وَاتَّبَعُوا النُّورَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ مَعَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. So those who believe in him, those who believe in this prophet and hold him in reverence and help him and follow the light sent down with him, those are the ones who are successful. So if you are alive, when this Prophet makes his appearance. And if you assist him in his mission, you assist him, then فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. These will be the successful people. Okay, we almost finished with this. It's just a little bit more of the English, inshallah, that we'll finish more. It was very, very interesting, very, very enlightening. So we will we'll finish that tomorrow, inshallah, and then we'll start with the Arabic, inshallah. Wala, you keeping the phone? You taking the phone home?